Wednesday, May the 6th. Lake level is about 916 and 3/4. It hadn't changed very much since last week. Now, the water temperature came up a bunch this past weekend. Forever it seemed like it couldn't hardly get much over 60. Well, Saturday and Sunday, there was a lot of places it got into the 70s, but then it cooled back down a little bit, but it's in the mid 60s right now throughout the lake. The lake looks like this past weekend, the lake was as busy as I think I've ever seen it. It looked like it was like the 4th of July. But apparently a bunch of people had to go back to work Monday because the last 2 days, it's been more normal for this time of year. But, fishing's been good. There's just a lot of different things going on. I've got a full moon coming this week. I'm seeing quite a few new beds and a lot of fish cruising. We got fish still that haven't spawned. We got some that are already done. I'm seeing a lot of bass fry in the backs of the pockets, starting to see a lot more shad. You got some fish that are post spawn that are starting to move out there a little deeper. Kind of depends what you're targeting. If you're in an area like Kimbling City, Baxter, the dam that has a lot of smallmouths, the best thing to key on to catch the smallmouths is flat gravel, and a lot of times it's not so much the points. It's inside the pockets or just inside the points. You want to look for little swings or little guts, and they're not in the same place every day. You got to search around quite a little bit, but usually whenever you find them, you get multiple bites in the same area. And even on the smallmouth, we're catching a lot of them in the last few days that have already spawned, post-spawn fish. But we're still catching a few that are pretty fat that haven't spawned yet. And the Kentuckies, now they seem to be out there in a little bit deeper water. Most of them smallmouth, they seem to be anywhere from 6 feet to about 12 feet. Depending on how flat the bank is. I've been setting the boat in 14 to 16 foot of water. The Kentuckies seem to be out a little bit deeper. There's some out there on the bottom where you can catch on a football jig. There's some out there suspended in the center of the pockets. And if you want to key on largemouth, it seems like if you go to the steeper 45-degree banks where it's got a lot of shelf rock, you can go about halfway back into creeks and fish the ledges with like either a Ned rig or shaky head or jig. Just like I say, there's so many different ways to catch the fish. The smallmouth, probably day in and day out, it's a Ned rig and a tube and a little swim bait. And I don't really think it matters what color Ned rig you're throwing. Just take and throw whatever your favorite color is, because we've been mixing it up and it doesn't seem like one color is better than the other. I've been throwing a green pumpkin. I've been throwing a Strike King Zero that's called a dirt color that's half watermelon and green pumpkin. Been throwing a PBJ. And one that's been working really good is, because the crawdads right now, we're seeing the fish belch out some crawdads, but is this a Strike King Zero, but I think they call it Bomber Craw. It's got a lot of orange in it. It's working real well. But, I think there's like the Zoom, I think they call it a Smackdown worm will work good. I think you can take a little French fry, you can take a little split shot rig. Just, the finesse bite day in and day out is by far the most consistent. And pretty much most of that, wrong rod. I'm finding, 6 or 8 pound line seems to work about the best. Now Lou's has got this mock crush rod, medium action rod, works really good for either the swim bait, and the swim bait I'm throwing anywhere from a 2 3/4 up to a 3.8. Most of the time I'm throwing a 3/16 to 1/4 ounce head on it. Some days you got to keep this just right off the bottom. Other days we'll try to find out how deep the fish are, especially the Kentuckies. They seem to be out over like 20, 25 feet of water, but there's some days they're 10, 12 feet deep. You just got to kind of mess around from day to day. But like I say, this rod is just a really good setup for whether you're throwing a Ned rig or the little swim bait, split shot. You can throw a tube, and on the tube, a lot of people don't throw a little gets it anymore, but actually the little gets it seems to be working better than the bigger tube for me. This is a Bitsy tube from Strike King. This is a Chomper's tube here, a little bit bigger bait, but either 3/16 or 1/4 ounce head in it. Keep an eye out for fish schooling. You want some kind of topwater fish on the boat, topwater lure handy in case fish come up surfacing. In the backs of the creeks and in the pockets, I've been catching some on a methylated Zoom trick worm. Still catching some on either a Zoom fluke or a Strike King caffeine shad. Pretty much just putting a little swivel on it. And I'm fishing both of these baits pretty fast. If you get back in the pockets, especially the ledgy pockets, where there's still some fish spawning, the fluke and the floating worm will work good. And a person can fish just about whatever you want to fish. This weekend, my grandson and I went way up in the river to get away from some of the boat traffic. And we caught a lot of fish up there. We still caught some on a chatterbait. And we caught several fish on a 3/8 ounce 5-fish lures ultimate cover jig with a big rage craw. Okeechobee craw was the color. And these fish were dirt shallow. We were stirring mud with the trolling motor. With the lake level like it is, there's not a whole lot of bushes in the water. Can't find any bushes. Look for some laydowns, or go in the backs of the creeks and look for the last little channel swing, especially if there's bait back in there. If there's bait back in there, you can take a chatterbait and throw it. If you got any cover back there, flip a jig. Or like a baby brush hog, or this is a Strike King game hog, and I'm just Texas rigging it on a 3/0 hook, throwing it around the same cover as well. You catch them on a Senko. I've been taking a wacky rigged Senko, little O-ring with a 16th ounce ultimate Ned jig head for a little bit of weight. Or you can take and rig it up Texas style, just like you do in the trick worm, and work it back in the shallows as well. It's just really been a fun time to fish, because you can almost fish whatever your favorite technique is. I know there's a lot of fish being caught on shaky heads, like a Zoom trick worm, green pumpkin, and those areas there, I'd probably, the shaky head and the jig, I would look for a little bit more like a ledge rock, where there's some fish in there spawning. It seems like the flatter gravel banks producing the smallmouth, if you're in an area that traditionally has smallmouth, which, just about anywhere from the upper White River clear to Long Creek Marina, Kimbling City, to about Ants Creek. The further up to James you get, there's less and less smallmouth, but there's a lot of largemouth and spotted bass biting right now. And like I say, some of them spotted bass are definitely out there deeper. Some of them in that clear water, they'll spawn out there 12 to 15 foot deep on the main lake. So don't be afraid to throw a football jig, Carolina rig. It's just, like I say, it's just a little bit of everything working. Another thing I want to mention, Sportsman's Factory Outlet did open up to Monday. I don't know if it's the normal hours, but I think it's 9 to 4. So if you need tackle, and down here at the lake, Extreme Outdoors has been open throughout all this. So if you need any baits or tackle, this place is open to get it. And like I said, the lake's a lot quieter right now. A lot of people had to go back to work, but fishing's getting really good. And start looking for a post-spawn bite. We should be looking at a shad spawn here in the next couple weeks. Topwater bite's going to get better. Flutter spoons, just a lot of different things will work right now. So till next week, good luck, good fishing.